we doing? Hello. How we doing?
You guys can all wait for a floor
Good
mic
afternoon.
to come your way before asking a question. That would be great.
How are you doing?
All right, everyone all set?
All right, ready to go? All right, getting ready to play University of Pittsburgh Panthers. I'll start with their offense. Well, I'll start with the head coach, Coach Narduzzi, doing a wonderful job there. Got them going on both sides of the ball, playing extremely physical brand of football. Offensively, they are second in the league in scoring with 38 points a game. They got great balance, running the ball for 231 yards a game, passing for 191 yards a game. You know, most of their passing game is set up because of how they run the ball. Just doing a wonderful job there. In the red zone, TD percentage, not total percentage, but touchdown percentage, 81% touchdowns in the red zone. That's why they're up there in scoring, because they've done such a great job there. It probably starts with their offensive line. Got over 140 combined starts, really physical bunch of guys. Bisnovati is a guy that is kind of the ringleader. A guy's been there for almost 40 starts in his career. Real physical football player, just as the rest of them are. We got a right tackle in O'Neal that we have to figure out a way to cover him. He's caught a touchdown pass. He's run for a touchdown. So he's got more stats than a lot of running backs across America. But very impressive bunch of guys up front. Peterman's a kid that was at Tennessee, transferred in, their quarterback. Really good athlete, 6'2", 225. Mobile, can throw it extremely well. Got 12 TD passes, 3 intercepts. Really doing a good job on that ratio. Henderson, number 10. Very dangerous return man. I'll talk about him in a minute on there, but he's also a guy who runs a lot of their speed sweeps. And he's rushed for over 345 yards and got 20 catches for 220 yards. Considered a mid-season All-American as a return man. And then Weah has got 448 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns as their leading receiver. Doing a beautiful job. Actually had 176 yards versus Marshall. On defense, Juan Price, number 5. I think everybody knows who he is, as they should. He's got over 25 career sacks. Half of his tackles are tackles for loss, between tackles for loss and sacks. Kind of a game record kind of guy. Overall on defense, they've got 9 returning starters. They've got 7 seniors, and Price being one of them. 6 out of their 7 front 7 are all returning starters and very physical bunch. Jarrett, number 6, Tyreek. Jarrett, he's massive. Very difficult to move. Not many people are moving him at all. A great run stopper, but a good bull rusher on the pass rush, pushing the pocket up in the face of the quarterback. Really does a good job there. And the rest of them outstanding up front as well. Linebackers, very tough, physical, downhill, pluggers that will just knock the heck out of you. Outstanding players there. And then in the perimeter, actually their leading tackler is Lewis, number 38, 52 tackles. He's got a pick, 6 pass breakups. Everybody knows they play a lot of man coverage back there. In doing so, they allow the safeties and the nickel Sam that we call them, get in the box and play the run. And it's one of the reasons why they're 6th in the country, because they're not going, by design, by numbers, they're not going to give you an advantage to run the ball. The advantage is always going to be to stop the run and see if you're good enough on the perimeter. And that philosophy has served Coach Narduzzi well his entire career. And it's very impressive to watch their defense. In the kicking game, their kickoff man is Blewett. All right, 21 out of his 54 kicks have been out of the yard. So there have been some returnable kicks. As far as field goals are concerned, he's made 4 over 50. He's made a long of 56. He's really their all-time leading scorer as a kicker. So he's having a tremendous career and a tremendous season. Their punter, Winslow, is averaging 43 yards a punt, doing a nice job there. And then getting back to Henderson as a return man. He's got 5 kickoff returns that have gone for over 80. He's got 2 for touchdowns this year. He's averaging 31 yards a return, which will be probably the biggest challenge of the game for us in the special teams. Just trying to hem him up as a kick returner and a punt returner for that matter, averaging almost 13 yards a return as a punter. So, very complete team, team that's very well coached. And, they've been in every game. They've played in, lost a couple, but just fractionally. So they've had a couple heartbreakers too. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. See what you guys want to ask.
Mark, you've mentioned a few times that Brad needs to trust his offensive line. I'm curious, do you feel like he does trust his offensive line? And how tough as a quarterback is that to do when you are under fire?
In general, quarterbacks have to trust every time the ball is snapped, if it's a pass, that they need to focus on their reads. They need to focus on their progressions. So that's what I mean by trust the pocket, trust the protection. And there's times when the protection breaks down. I mean, any game across America, you watch it, there'll be times that it breaks down. The quarterback's scrambling and making a play or gets sacked or throws the ball away. I mean, that happens. That's part of the game when you drop back and throw it. But if you're more concerned about watching the rush than you are what's happening downfield, that's when you have a problem. But I'm not saying he has a problem in that area. I'm just saying that's how I teach a quarterback, that every time we drop back to throw, our focus has got to be on, he's got to focus on his job, not on the offensive lineman's job. So that's all I was talking about there.
What can Brad do to buy more time in the pocket?
Well, the big thing is that we, of course, have to have a good scheme for him to be progressing through. If it's man coverage, it usually doesn't take too long to figure out who to throw to. You're going to throw it to this guy. More zone coverages, you got maybe a first, second, and sometimes a third progression. So part of it is just the scheme to make sure that, we know where to go with the ball on the rhythm of our feet as we drop back in the pocket. If you get pressure up inside, sometimes you can go right or left, but most of the time, people are going to rush hard off the edge. He's got to work up in the pocket and a lot of times just hold his point and make a throw from the pocket. There's sometimes he'll have to flush right or left. We've seen him do that a few times this year and make some plays. You have to focus on your job downfield and react to what happens in front of you. So that's the main thing.
Well, speaking of scheme, is it on Pittsburgh, on their sacks, is it anything they do scheme-wise, or is it just that they're good players?
They're really good pass rushers, and Price in particular he's a jet. I mean, he's very, very fast off the ball, very strong. Kind of a low to the ground guy too, which is problematic. A lot of times you'll get a relatively tall offensive lineman trying to work on a guy that can play low, and play powerful, play strong. And so just his get off, number one, when the ball snapped, how quick he gets off the line. And if you got a tackle concerned about getting beat on a speed rush, then you tend to overset at times, and then he comes back underneath, So if you have just one guy on him, it's almost not fair, quite frankly. You got to try to get some help from tight ends and backs and maybe a guard slide and help him slide towards the guy. But if you just say, hey, tackle, you block him all day and drop back to throw, I don't know if anybody in America will hold up very well against that.
Coach, a couple questions. First of all, what's the mindset of the players like coming into winning the first 4 games and then losing the next 4? Like, just what are the players' mindsets? And 2, what is something that you have told them to keep them motivated, whether it's bowl eligibility?
Well, the players are working hard. They're focusing. When you're learning how to be a man, you do your job every day. You do the best you can. When you're on a team, you do your best, not only for yourself, but for your team, because you care about each other, And, the motivation for our guys is that every day we show up and get to work. And, regardless of the circumstances, you got to get up and go. It's just like in life. You may not want to get up one day, you for whatever reason, you don't feel well, But guess what? You got to get up and do your job, because if you don't, then you got people counting on you, and it won't go well for them. So I think they just take pride in showing up every day and getting to work. And I mean, obviously we want to win games too. There's no doubt about that. But every single day, you got to make a choice on what your attitude is and what your effort is. You can control that. That's what I tell these guys. You control your attitude. You control your effort. That's up to you. And if you care enough about your teammates, and you truly are doing things that a man will do, you'll take care of business. We don't talk about that.
Mark, after Saturday's game, you mentioned just the need to finish. They're getting close. They're one play here, one play there. How do you get them to kind of get over that threshold? Is it a mental thing or mental hurdle that you got to work on, just the aspect of finishing?
You try to do it all off season long. You try to get them learning to finish all off season, which I think we're doing the right things in that regard. Even today, we talked a lot about starting faster, because that's been a little bit of the issue as well. I mean, we didn't start very fast, obviously, last game for sure. And then we got things rolling, and then when we got the lead, we didn't finish like we should. Okay, and so we really emphasized how we wanted to start practice today, and we changed that up a little bit and got into more high tempo drills right off the get go. But then the last thing we do is go against each other, offense versus defense as well, and that needs to be a really high tempo deal as well. And I just stopped the drill before we got started and reminded them, that we started well today. We had a pretty good practice in between, but now it's time to finish. And so I think you keep preaching it, you keep demanding it, and then when it happens, everything becomes just a little bit easier.
Okay, last question.
Mark, talk a little bit about, as a former quarterback, sort of, can you learn, even if you're not particularly mobile, can you learn some little evasive moves? Can you learn a better sense of the pocket? And also, how many seconds do you have set for when the ball should be, when you should get rid of the ball?
Well, there's a lot of different. There's quick game, that the ball gets out pretty quick. Maybe 2.5, 3 seconds kind of thing. If you're holding the ball longer than 4, you're asking for it. We need to have everything set up where we get the ball thrown sooner than that. But there's times, like, for example, if it's at the end of the game or it's 3rd and long, and they give you a 3-man rush and drop 8. Well, sometimes you're able to hold the ball a little bit longer and let people work themselves open, because when you have 8 people in coverage, things don't really happen on rhythm a lot of the times, because they got 3 deep. They usually have 5 underneath zones covered, or they've got man-to-man underneath, and so sometimes it takes a little bit to work, get a guy to work open. But in a 3-man rush, there's times when you can hold the ball a little bit longer than that. But for the most part, anywhere between 2.5 to 4 seconds is when you like most of them to be out. I know you'll be putting a watch on that now. So, all right, gang, we'll see you.